You're getting tricked right now in ways that you don't even realize. I know this because I am an expert on tricking people. I'm not a bad guy. I don't lie in my day-to-day life, but I am a magician. I've been doing magic my whole life, so I see the different ways that people can get tricked. It especially happens in business, where it's so important that you know what's true and what's not true. We saw what happens to people who don't know what's true and not true back in 2008, where the whole economy exploded. Everyone was acting like they had so much money and their investments were secure. But there was a small group of people who saw through the bullshit and they short sold the market. They said, I know that people really don't have all this money and can't afford these houses. And these people who saw the truth made billions of dollars by investing against the market. But everyone else, 99.99% of people, thought that the economy was good and that everything was okay. And sometimes, everyone can get stuff wrong. You think back to the witch trials of Salem or Europe, where there was whole industries, there were experts upon experts who told you how to better identify witches, torture witches, kill witches to stop their witchcraft. There were judges for this. The church was in on it. There were books written. Everyone was in on this thing of agreeing that the real problem with our society was witches. But now we all know, nope, they were wrong. They were lying. And we'd like to think, well, maybe that's a one-time thing. That can't happen again, right? But it does. It happens again and again. It is happening right now. And really, the best protection against it is not to become a human lie detector. We all think that we're human lie detectors. I hear pretty much everyone say, well, I'm a pretty good judge of character. No one's a good judge of character. Everyone can be tricked by stuff, especially if everyone is in on the trick. So I don't think you can be a human lie detector, but I do think there's something that you can do to protect yourself from being tricked, and this is to have a skeptical attitude. This is how I try to go through life, definitely informed by being a magician. I don't think I know everything. I don't. Even though I know a lot about trickery and deception, I know that I, like everyone else, can be tricked. I can be conned, I can be had, but the best thing I can do to protect myself is realize that I am susceptible. I have the same cognitive biases as everyone else. And when you really look to see if people are experts at being able to tell if someone is telling the truth or not, they're not. We've looked at people like police officers who administer polygraph tests. We've looked at FBI agents, maybe teachers who deal with one student who's lying. We've taken all these different groups of people, and what we found is that no one is an expert lie detector. And the things that they tell us about detecting lies are also untrue. People tell us, for instance, that you can tell if someone is lying if they are not looking at you, right? If they're looking away, they're afraid to look you in the eye. That is some bullshit. I will look you in the eye right now and tell you that I am the Queen of England. I can tell you, I promise you that I am the Queen of England, not even blinking. That does not mean that I'm the Queen of England. That just means that I can look at you in the eye and tell you that I'm the Queen of England. And that's not some special skill. Everyone can do this, right? You can do it. All kids learn how to lie when they're like, 2, 3 years old. It's not some special skill set. It happens when your parents are like, did you do that? I'm going to punish you if you did. And then you finally figure out, if I just say that I didn't do it, then I get to avoid punishment. You think maybe, well, that doesn't, harm anyone else too much. But then kids can take this a step further, where they don't just deny that they did something, they can blame it on something else. Did you do that? No, he did. Every kid is capable of that lie. And you think that adults, as they grow old, somehow they get worse at lying? As people grow and practice stuff, they just get better and better. Everyone is fine at lying. So how do you know if someone is really lying to you, if it's not the eye contact thing? Well, there's one trick that you can use that's pretty good, but before I give it to you, you got to realize this is not a sure thing. This is just better than the eye contact thing. There's all sorts of ways that you can violate this rule and still be a liar, but here's what it is. Usually when people are lying, they don't like to use the word I. If they're like, let's say that you go and you see a friend perform in a show, and then afterwards you're talking with them, and they were the lead performer, and they said, what did you think of the show? This happens to me a lot because I'm in the entertainment business. I have a lot of friends who are in shows. So they ask me, what do you think of the show? And in this scenario, let's say that the show was terrible. It was a terrible show. No judgment. I do lots of terrible shows. Everyone does terrible things. That's fine. But now you've got a bad show, and someone who was in the show asks you what you thought. I think most people in this situation, they would say something like, oh, the audience loved it. Or, maybe they do something where they say the lighting was fantastic, or everyone had a great time. You look like you were having fun up there. The thing that people are avoiding is saying the word I. They're avoiding saying, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was wonderful. I had a great time. It's almost like this word cuts too deep into the soul, and people are afraid to bear that out. And so it's so much easier to just say other things and remove yourself from the equation. That's a much better way to tell if someone is lying rather than using the word I. But look, there's so many tricks like that that only get you so far, because there are certainly people who can lie and use the word I. So the best thing to do to protect yourself is to have a healthy, skeptical attitude. Let me give you one last very important thought. See if you can tell what the lie is here, okay? You go to a hypnosis show, and before the show starts, the usher taps you on the shoulder, pulls you backstage. Your friends don't notice you leaving. And there you are. You're talking with the hypnotist, and the hypnotist says, hey, can you do me a favor? Could you pretend to be hypnotized in this show? I know that's annoying because, you'll be on stage the whole time. But if you do pretend that you're hypnotized, I'm going to hook you up. I will give you $800 after the show. And you think, boy, I really don't want to be on stage for a hypnosis show, but I do need $800. So you agree. Then you go back to your seat right as the show is starting, and you notice there's a couple other people who are going back to their seats right at this exact moment. You wish you could explain to your friends what had happened, but the show is just starting. Now, sure enough, the hypnotist calls you up on stage, along with a couple other people who looked like they were getting to their seats about the same time as you. And you wonder, did they go backstage also and talk with the hypnotist? Well, you're about to find out, because the hypnotist puts you under, right? Puts you under. Now, really, you don't feel hypnotized. You just feel uncomfortable because you're on stage, you're pretending to sleep, and now the hypnotist starts giving you suggestions. The hypnotist says, when I tap you on the shoulder and you wake up, you're going to believe that you don't have any clothes on and you are very embarrassed. So the hypnotist taps you on the shoulder and you act this out. You're covering yourself. You don't think you're a good actor, but everyone in the audience is loving it. It seems like everyone in the audience thinks that you really are hypnotized. And then from there, the suggestions just get more and more embarrassing. The hypnotist says, when I wake you up, you're going to find me incredibly attractive. Okay, wake up now. And the hypnotist does a scene with you where he's expecting you to be into him. And sometimes it gets even more egregious. The hypnotist might say, when you shake someone's hand, you will experience an orgasm. Then the hypnotist wakes you up and you've got to, pretend to have orgasms on stage in front of a group of people you don't know and your friends. And the whole time you are just desperate. You're desperate for this to be over so you can go back to your friends and tell them, what happened and the deal with the hypnotist, that you weren't really hypnotized, that you felt embarrassed the whole time. But before that can happen, the hypnotist, still on stage, says, "Okay, everyone, go to sleep for one last time." And he gives one last instruction to you as you're pretend sleeping. The hypnotist says, "Now, when you wake up and go home with your friends and your family, they are going to ask you if you were really hypnotized or not. And instead of telling them the truth that you really were hypnotized, you're going to make up a story that we met before the show and I promised you money to play along." Now, the more your friends ask questions about this, the more that you will insist that this story is true, and your friends will think it is very funny. "Okay, bye, everyone." Then the hypnotist, he leaves out the back door, he gets in his car, he goes away, and you're left, of course, feeling like a fool. Here's my question. When I started that story, did you have any idea what was going to happen at the end? Probably not. I think it's hard to imagine just how diabolical some liars can be, especially if they put a lifetime of work into the lie, which many people do. So what can you do to protect yourself from this? Like, you're not going to know that this is a thing that hypnotists do. And especially in business, you're always going to be encountering people with new business models that you don't understand. And when there's topics that you're not an expert on, you're much more likely to be fooled, especially if people are using big terms and fancy jargon. Well, the best thing you can do to protect yourself is to just have a skeptical attitude. That's the thing I do. It is my recommendation as a magician to you. And if you found this video helpful, I hope you will follow my page, because I'm going to be sharing with you a lot more thoughts from the point of view of a lifetime magician and someone who's into deception. I hope you'll, follow my page and watch more of the videos. Bye, everyone.